Take me down to the Dinosaur City where the acting sucks and the sets look shitty.
Why won't you please make it stop? Whoa, yeah.
Take me down to the Dinosaur City where the dinos get hot for boys that are pretty.
Oh, great, now we're on a list. Whoa, no, whoa, whoa, whoa. You know, when I pick a movie, that's when I'm under pressure now. The question always comes back to me, what were they thinking now? Whoa, what were they thinking? What were they thinking? Oh, welcome back, folks, to What Were They Thinking, a podcast about bad to questionable movies, and we got a doozy for you this one. We're talking this week about a movie that I only found out about because of a video game that was released after the movie, or a tie-in with the movie, and the game was actually better than the movie. We're talking, of course, about The Adventures in Dinosaur City, and I'm certainly not going through this one alone. With me, as always, is the Tops to my Rex.
So you're saying I'm a top?
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't say that. I put an S at the end of it.
A bottom.
No, I'm
bottoms.
a Rex.
You're the bottoms
Rex.
to my tops.
King.
Nathan, I love how confidently you said.
Brendan, by the way, his name's Brendan.
My name is Brendan, and I'm a top. I love how confidently you said that this movie, became a video game, which is much better than the movie, and then, which of course can only mean one thing. We're talking about Adventures in Dinosaur City, as if everyone was just waiting. Like, well, obviously, there's only one movie this could be.
I can't think of very many movies that had tie-in video games where the game was better than the movie. There's like a handful.
Listen, the Toy Story game, pretty sick.
Okay.
not as good as the movie, but
I'll say this: the PS2 Punisher game is better than the Punisher movie with Thomas Jane, and I really like the movie with Thomas Jane, but the video game is so much better.
I like that stupid movie though.
I do too.
Come on, he's fighting Kevin Nash, who's playing a Russian.
Yeah. Walt Travolta does his best Motown ripoff.
That movie. Anyway, we're not talking about the Punisher, but we may have to one day.
Maybe. Or Warzone. I mean,
that one I can't get too happy about. But anyway.
So, let's just get this through out quick, and we're gonna get to the plot. So the basic plot of this is that of a gajillion rejected Saturday morning live action kids shows like Land of the Lost and stuff like that. 3 kids get sucked into a temporal vortex, into another dimension or another world where they fish out of waters. I know, right? And they're the fish out of water where they have to befriend dinosaurs and help save their land so they can find their way back home. And mediocrity ensues.
Now, you said movie, and I want to just take that to task just for a second. Okay. I know it's a movie that was released, and it's at least 85 minutes long, but it does look, feel, and sound like it was something recorded on a really shitty, like, $30 set.
Well, this is what I mean. Like, if you can think back to, like, live action Saturday morning kids shows from like the 80s and 90s, like Land of the Lost is a perfect example, and the costumes look like they're straight out of it. The only difference is Land of the Lost was like 10 or 15 years before this. It has a lot of plot elements to like other cartoons as well, like the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon that was really good. and kid videos. So like same idea, kids get sucked into another dimension and have to, fight, baddies week to week in hopes to get him back to their to the real world.
And it's funny you mentioned Dungeons and Dragons, because guys, don't think we're done with that. And if the trailers for the new movie are any indication,
how could it be any worse?
It looks like it could be not great.
All right.
I gotta say, I think this movie, we called it Adventures in Dinosaur City. The opening credits say dinosaurs, and I think Steven Spielberg probably called it Cease and Desist, because I think there's a reason it was not called Dinosaurs.
I think it only saw. Well, it would have been Jim Henson that would have done that cease and desist.
I think Spielberg was exec producer on that shit, though.
Or Disney. I mean,
yeah,
because it was on ABC, right?
Now, I will say with the puppet work here, Jim Henson lost no sleep over this one.
There are brief and fleeting moments in this where it was like, if I see it and I'm just like, if they just put in another week or two worth of work, this could have looked at least looked good as far as the puppetry goes. But it's so mouth-flappingly lazy.
Well, like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 3 looked at this movie and were like, "Whoa, guys, maybe put some effort into this one."
So, let's pitter patter. Let's get at her. Let's get into it. We open with some credits that do not bode well in regards to their looks, because they look like credits from like a PBS kids show.
It's animated in the least possible sense, like the base definition of animation, I guess, and some of it's not. It's just pictures.
Yeah, and I noticed a credit in this that this was a Smart Egg production, which I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with it. They are the company that helped bring Nightmare on Elm Street to life.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh, the mighty have fallen.
So wait, so Robert Englund is in this movie somewhere, right?
I wish.
Yeah.
I actually did a look up on some of the cast, and I think the Timmy, I think he was on like Erie, Indiana.
Our main character Timmy is also from the lead in Hocus Pocus.
Okay.
Yeah, he was Max in Hocus Pocus. That I did notice. Anyone else in this? Nope.
Yeah, no, not really, no.
But this movie does confidently say that the title of it is Dinosaurs. There's no talk of adventures in Dinosaur City.
Well, it's strange. I mean, the thing is, it's on YouTube, and there's a couple of versions of it on YouTube I've found, of varying qualities, and some of them have like weird Cyrillic or Greek subtitles. That was
I watched
strange.
the Greek subtitled one because it was the better quality.
Oh, it had a clearer picture.
Yeah.
We open up with these three kids who look like they should be out, getting up to hijinks and maybe doing some older teenager type stuff. But what are they doing? They're sitting around in their friend's room trading dinosaur stories, because dinosaurs are rad, man.
I mean, listen, I'll say this. Dinosaurs are pretty cool, but I feel like this is the age group where you wouldn't be obsessed with dinosaur cartoons.
It also wouldn't be I don't think is the age group where you would be sitting around trading, fanfic dinosaur stories.
Yeah, you'd be picking up prostitutes and shooting people, right?
And Grand Theft Auto, probably. I mean,
yeah.
These kids look like they look like they're 16, 17-ish. It's not the age group that would be sitting around, with ordering dinosaur tapes, talking about dinosaur stories, writing dinosaur stories. But this is where we're at.
I was also fully confused at the beginning, because I was like, okay, so the main kid I think is supposed to be a bit younger than the other two, but I also thought at first I was like, are they all related? Well, are the two guys brothers?
I thought it was a sibling group.
I thought too.
But it's not, because we find out
them
real quickly that Timmy is making fun of the fact that Jamie, that's the girl, likes Mick.
Yeah, but she's ugly because she has glasses on.
Again, and then another thing, all three of these kids, decent looking kids, probably they look like they're well kept and clean. They could probably have friends, and they would be out doing regular teenage stuff. Yeah. So I mean, right out of the gate, we're looking for nerdlingers, and we've got Degrassi, the next generation.
But they do make a point of pushing her nerdiness by just having her wear glasses, and I'm like, okay, come on, it's a she's all that situation. It's like we all know it's Rachel Lee Cook, guys. Give me a break.
So we get to see their dynamic. Jamie is the one who's mostly known for writing the stories, and the boys sit around and listen to her, and as the movie goes on, I really think that Mick is just putting up with this stuff so he can kind of hang around with Jamie because he likes Jamie, sort of thing.
He's down to pound for sure.
Can we not say that about actors in a kids movie?
They look older than 16. Those two do, anyway.
So we cut away from our...
I'm not saying I'm going to be there when it happens, Nathan. I'm just saying he's definitely down to pound. I mean, if their kiss later indicates anything, the passion of that moment was too much for children.
Well,
I
did
did not care for that.
They had been through some stuff, okay? I mean, that they had grown up quickly in that day that they were in Dinosaur City.
It was too adult for me.
Like, even more so than we're back at Dinosaur. Wow, what is it with dinosaur movies and making kids make out?
Dinosaurs bring out your inner... I don't know.
I get you all horned up, I guess? I don't know.
Dinosaurs get you horned up. Well, I mean, they do, in this opening scene, they do steal her diary, and she calls him, you little hornhead.
Yes, which...
is an insult people use, right?
No one talks like that.
Oh, okay. Okay, it just sounded so natural to me.
We cut away from this group to some scientists who apparently are doing some project work on a matter transporter temporal vortex. It's never made super duper clear exactly what they're doing or even who they are at first.
Yeah,
it's a hard smash cut to some random scientists doing lab work.
Yeah, well, it just looked like It just looked like they were a big fan of the opening titles of Vertigo, according to that TV.
So, we can get, I guess, that, and it's I guess it's to set up, what's gonna come, because they do like a matter transport through a wormhole, and then it shoots the orange back to them, and they're super excited about that. Then we cut back to our group again, and they have gotten a new videotape of dinosaurs, or Soar City, or whatever the hell it was called.
I think it's just, I don't know. I think it was just called Dinosaurs. I think it was called Dinosaur City.
Anyways, they pop it into the VCR because it's the 90s, and what proceeds is a combination of the Flintstones, if it was animated by the folks who did Ren and Stimpy, whilst ripping off the theme to Underdog.
It looks fucking terrible. Like, it looks like the worst cartoon, and these kids are so excited to watch it.
They're absolutely over the moon for this show. Like, it is it was Ren and Stimpy at the time. I remember watching Ren and Stimpy, and yeah, Ren and Stimpy is bizarre looking. It's not a naturalistic or realistic looking animation, and it's crudely done on purpose because the humor is subversive and crude, but it's done in such a way that you're like, this is good. I would never ever ever say that about the cartoon that they're watching in this movie.
And we see the entire opening theme montage. It lasts genuinely 3 minutes.
Yeah, and the theme song, again, as I said, is just it's the theme to Underdog with different words.
You mean the hit live action film?
No, I mean the fantastic '60s cartoon that's probably kind of racist. in spots. I mean, not Underdog himself, but they had a segment on that show called Go Go Gophers. It was about two gophers that were Native American, and they were constantly at war with the cavalry troops. I mean, now granted, in these segments, the gophers often one-upped the cavalry guys, and they would win out the day, but they spoke in that kind of shitty, stereotypical 60s Indian talk.
Very Johnny Depp Lone Ranger.
Even worse. And one of them didn't even talk. He just gurgled and garbled in gibberish, and his partner would translate for him using that broken Johnny Depp Lone Ranger English. It's a product of its time, people. I mean, it's a fantastic cartoon. If you get past, you don't watch the Go Go Gopher segments, just watch the Underdog segments. It's a great. I've recommended it before, and I stand by it. Just know what you're getting into. Listen,
it's okay to like something and admit that part of it maybe isn't the best, but I will say that this reminds me of an experience I had a year or so ago, rewatching Peter Pan, not remembering all the stuff. The Disney version, of course, and just watching it and being like, holy shit, this movie is fucking racist. Like more so, like so much of the Disney Plus put a warning at the top of the movie. I'm like, oh, surely there's just a couple throwaway gags. No, it's bad. It's real bad.
I remember when Teletoon Retro was a thing, and they used to show like Woody Woodpecker, and every episode was like a disclaimer about how the cultural depictions, then versus now, essentially.
There was a Bugs Bunny cartoon with a character. I'll just say that the character's name was Sassafras, so you can just imagine how well that went.
Right. Was that one of the band 7?
It might be. I saw it on an old compilation tape, and there was no disclaimer. It just happened.
Well, I mean, that was pretty commonplace back in the 90s.
Me as a child thinking nothing of it, and then years later trying to find that cartoon because I remembered it and going, oh no.
That's why I can't find it anywhere.
That's why it's disappeared. Yeah.
They're hiding it as hard as they can.
Oh.
To give you an idea how over the moon these kids are about this cartoon, they when Timmy says, "Hey, I got the latest Dinosaur VHS," they say "too volcanic," which again is nothing anybody ever said anytime ever.
It's dialogue for teenagers written by like 57-year-olds
who want to, shoehorn in the fact that dinosaurs. Mm-hmm. So we go back to the scientists. We see more of their wormhole research and how they're going to go and present their findings. It's a huge breakthrough, and they leave their lab, and then they go upstairs into the same house that these kids are in.
Oh, what twist!
So it's I guess Timmy's mom and dad, and they're going to this science conference, and they say, you know what, we're leaving you kids, we're trusting you here, we don't want you getting up to any primate business.
And if this movie had any kind of a budget, that scientist character 100% would have been Dan Aykroyd. Also, like, I had Jay Baruchel on the mind because she was way out of his league. Like, what a couple. It seemed like he couldn't even really function enough to do most basic things. So I was like, how the fuck did this whole thing happen?
I think what she might have been shooting for, the guy, maybe he's like socially day-to-day life incompetent, but he's clearly he's some sort of scientific genius. And I'm thinking she was shooting for let's hope our kids get my looks in your brains, and they'll be able to take over the world.
I thought you were gonna say because he's some scientific genius, she was hoping he like mastered the G-spot or something. I've got it down to a science.
It can't be innocent and pure. It has to be kids making out and scientists mastering G-spots and
I didn't write the movie, Nathan. I'm just telling you what's presented to me, and then passes through my brain's filter, which happens to be the filter of a very disturbed young man.
Right. And so the parents, they leave, and they stay out of the lab, which is the scientific parent equivalent of stay out of my room.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean that they don't listen. I mean,
you think they would lock that shit down though, especially
right?
considering what they're doing in there.
Right. They know the stuff that they're researching. You would think they would at least take apart the machine or take out some components that would stop it from, accidentally being activated. What do they do before they leave? No, let's set it to run all its diagnostics and leave it on so that when we get back, it'll be all ready to go and we can do some more experiments with it. Leave it all on with our, physically 16-year-old, mentally 11-year-old kid in our house. And
dumb.
Of course, the kids don't listen. They want to watch the Dinosaur VHS tape
on
the big screen.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love he says, we're going to watch it on the big screen. Cut to like 32-inch TV.
I mean, for the time, the only thing they could have had better is if they had like one of those big Coke dealer Miami Vice TVs.
It's just funny to see now in retrospect when someone's like, we got the big screen, and it's like, okay.
So of course they start trying to watch it, and Timmy starts messing around with some remote that he finds. He thinks it's for the TV. It activates the wormhole, and also he presses the Star Trek acting button because they start shaking the camera, and the kids are like,
my
"Whoa,
God.
oh!" They're all Shatnering all over the place.
Yeah.
And then they get sucked into the vortex, just like you would see on a shitty Saturday morning version of Sliders.
Well, luckily though, the acting didn't need to be that good here because the special effects really carried this scene.
They get transported to what can only be described as a steampunk version of Jim Henson's Dinosaurs.
Oh man, and
with half the budget.
Half?
I'm being generous.
Very generous. Yeah. This is my first problem. Maybe this is just because of the budget, but let's just forget about that for a second. Wouldn't it have been so much? It was a
Republic Pictures feature, so I mean, you're talking about a movie studio that, Canon Films could feel superior to.
Well, I'm just saying though that wouldn't it have been so much more interesting, at least to me, if when they went into this animated show that everything was animated?
Thank you. That's the first thing I thought is, why is this not a cartoon? This is absolutely, or like a situation where that should be a thing.
And they can get away with so much more for less money and not.
God help me, Rockadoodle did it right.
Oh God, what are you saying?
The kid got transported into a cartoon.
Yeah.
And he didn't get sucked into a cartoon, he just woke up a cartoon. I think if you take the idea where a kid gets, knocked out or something like that, and he gets, in his imagination, he gets sucked into a cartoon, he becomes a cartoon.
By the way,
where was Ralph Bashki or Don Bluth when we needed him?
By the way, that's also another movie with weirdly sexualized characters.
No dinosaurs, though. But I mean,
I
mean, maybe they're ancestors because, birds.
Yeah. That's yeah.
Think of the money they could, the money they spent on the crappy sets and terrible latex outfits for the dinosaur puppet people, how much they could have done as animation-wise, they'd spent that money on making the kids cartoons instead of being sucked into a cartoon and then becoming live action.
Yeah, exactly. Also, I wrote down that as soon as they arrive there, Jamie says, "Oh, that was no earthquake," and I'm like, "Wait, it felt like there should have been a line before that where someone said it feels like an earthquake."
It's an earthquake. Whoa!
Yeah, but there was nothing. She just says that was no earthquake, and they're like, yeah, no one said it was."
And then they're immediately like, there's a little pterodon thing there, and he just starts dealing on him. That's his Forey, that's his name?
Yeah, I got some real roller gator vibes from this guy.
Right? Especially considering the fact that they carry him around constantly.
Oh my god. And he looks like a little bit better than the roller gator puppet. But
just
not a lot.
like a little bit, yeah.
Not a lot better.
And then, of course, he thinks that they are Rocky spies. Now,
that's not what I heard.
What did you hear?
I thought he said Iraqi spies.
Iraqi spies.
And I was like, oh shit, this is quite a turn.
Apparently, there's some Persian Gulf in Dinosaur City as well.
You don't remember when that episode of Dinosaur City when they went to war with Iraq?
Yeah, and they had to take out Saddam Husseinosaurus.
Oh my god.
So okay.
Voiced by Alfred Molina. Probably.
Yeah, right. So Forey, he's dealing with them, saying that, you guys must be Rocky spies, and when I heard that, I was like, Rocky? Like, are they making a Rocky reference here? Am I like, no, that's just what they call the cavemen or cave people in this. They're not cavemen. They're not humans. They're Rockies.
It's that other annoying bad movie thing too, where it's like we have to come up with a different name for something. It's like just call them cave people or cavemen.
The thing is, like when we meet the Rockies, because they come in shortly after our heroes arrive, and Forey calls one like a Cro-Magnon moron. I'm like, why didn't you just call them the Cro-Mags or the Cro-Magnon?
Yeah.
I mean, you've already got a word for it. Why are you making up this senseless bullshit?
It's like that movie 10,000 BC when they have to call the mammoths Mannix. It's like, they're just mammoths. Just call them mammoths. That is not a recommendation. I am not watching that, bud.
I have not seen that.
It's fucking terrible.
I avoided it like the plague.
Yes, you should. Maybe the worst. Listen to this criticism. Definitely the worst Roland Emmerich movie I've ever seen. There you go.
That's a pretty fucking high bar, man.
That's it's the worst.
Not only do we find out that the Rockies are the bad guys, and that Forey, I think that's his name.
Yeah,
I have it written down as Forey, but Forry.
That's what I got.
I thought they kept calling him Corey there for a while. So he also starts perving on the Cro-Magnon woman, doesn't he?
He does, and she doesn't seem completely closed off to the idea.
Well, any port in a storm in Dinosaur City, I guess, because apparently they're gonna destroy like half the world because the Cro-Mags show up. I'm going to be calling them that. I'm not calling them the Rockies. The Cro-Mags show up, and they basically take this fuse, MacGuffin, that is basically keeping the volcanic levels of lava below Dinosaur City at bay. But if they don't have that fuse, it won't happen, and within a day, the city will be just torn asunder by magma destruction.
That's just a shitty security system,
right? Like one fuse.
Come on,
keeping your complete and total societal destruction at bay.
And your guard is a pterodactyl who can't fly.
Can't even fly.
Like, they deserve to be extinct.
So we do a lot of like weird cutaways to establish the world without showing our protagonists in it, and they cut to this one shot. I think it's the exterior of Dinosaur City, and all I saw was this big black plume of smoke coming up from this building. I was like, oh, they have a new dinosaur pope. He must have died before we got there, and they just elected a new dinosaur pope.
Man, if this movie would have taken a sharp turn into it being a Christian movie, I would not have been surprised.
I'll meet you guys later. I gotta take this Adam fella to church.
That's
Forey,
what
really happened.
You know, Forey, we had some good times, but maybe we should stop and talk about how every baby should be born. Wait, what?
And that would be actually like the worst video game level in the video game.
You have to stop this evil aborter.
Yeah, and it's just a text mini game where you have to choose the right things to say, just to show that you're a right to life dinosaur.
Stop the Rockies abortionist.
It's Roe versus Wade with literal Roe involved.
Oh man, and you'll never believe who the bad guy is in this. Actually, you will.
Okay, so Dino Pope. Cool. Yeah. We got that. And if you bear with me, my cat tore my notes, so I gotta. Okay. Oh. Again, they call the Rockies hominids. I think you might have been saying humanoids,
another word,
but another word you could have used.
Yeah.
They say that they're going to go to Tar Town.
Yeah, which I was like, oh no.
I was worried myself. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I was a little concerned, and if this had been made and released in the time of Underdog, we would have been rightfully so.
But I do like. There's also a weird line here where, because Mick is, because it's Mick, right? I put Mitch and Mick.
It's Mick.
Yeah.
It's Mick, Jamie, and Timmy.
Okay, because at one point Mick is like, he doesn't want to do anything about it, and Timmy is like, "Come on, Mick, you always hated the Rockies. This is your big chance." It's like, what? Wait, you hated the cartoon characters
from the cartoon
Timmy.
Characters? Yeah, he's always hated the characters from the cartoon.
Yeah, it's not like he hated somebody in real life and then finally confronted them, and this is his chance to take them down.
Well, I mean, given how dumb Mick comes off, I think that's an easy sell for Timmy.
But it's just.
I feel like Mick, I mean, when he goes undercover as one of the Rocky Cro-Mags later, I don't feel like he had to do a whole lot of stretching of the acting muscles.
But it's like
stooped a little bit and dragged his knuckles along the ground. That's about it.
It's like if you were a kid and got mad when you watched Batman because you wanted Batman to beat up Bane so bad, and then you ended up in the real Batman world, and he's like, "You hate Bane. You can take him down."
No, I can't. He is a genetically altered monstrosity.
But this is your chance. You can't stand him.
I failed the last presidential fitness exam. I am not taking on Bane. Maybe the Clock King.
Okay.
So we've actually we haven't talked about how the reason why they want to go to Tar City is Tar Town, sorry, so they can meet up with Rex and Tops, and they're like the heroes of Dinosaurs or Dinosaur City, the show that they watch. And we kind of find out that, like, there's some shady history with Rex and his family in the past, and I think old Forey at one point laments that dead dinos tell no tales. It's a pretty dark thing to say for a pretty light kids movie with puppets and stuff in it. Well,
I mean, and then they travel through a graveyard, and hilariously Timmy is like, "Wow, I guess I haven't seen this episode yet." I'm like, no. If you're the level of fan that we saw earlier, you've seen this episode 8 million times.
Well, he actually does mention the fact, because when they're traveling to this portion, because it's supposed to be the quickest route to Tar Town. It's basically it's what do they call it, the Extinction Grove. That's what they call it. And it's supposed to be too scary for the show. That's why you never see it on the show. That's how they explain it away. Before they get to Extinction Grove, we get to meet our big bad, Mr. Big.
Clever naming.
Right. And at one point says, "Do I make myself clear?" But he says it like this. And I was like, no, you don't. Nope, can't understand a goddamn word you're saying.
Yeah,
they should not have run his voice through that filter.
Yeah, speaking of Bane.
Yeah, exactly. This is, of course, he's a dino as well, but he's running the humans, I guess.
Who knows?
For lack of a better, we don't get to think too heavily on it because he just has, and then we cut to them traveling through Extinction Grove, where they meet a they take some they take some shots at Janie's dino stories and how they're stupid. I'm like, really, you're not helping things by taking a shit on your friend right now.
Yeah,
you guys there's business at hand. Get to it.
And also, you like this show, so shut the fuck up.
Yeah. And they I actually made a funny a little quip in my notes here. When they get to the Extinction Grove, there's like a I was waiting to see a statue of a Grim Raptor. Like a Grim Reaper, but a dinosaur one. They get attacked by a tar pit snake, I guess.
Yeah. Oh well, isn't that where they're crossing the bridge and fucking Mick is like
the literal bones of another dinosaur,
which Forey I would imagine would be very disturbed doing. It'd be like, can you imagine? That'd be like me crossing a bridge made out of a bunch of people. That'd be weird. But when they're crossing that bridge, before he falls in the water, Mick is doing this like, oh great, water! I hate water! The last time I was in water, they tried to drown me in it! Ah, water! And I'm like, dude, I fucking get it. Like, get over it. And then, yeah, he falls in and is almost killed by a giant snake worm thing. Yep.
And
they just bash it a bunch. It's fine.
They do. And... God, there's a line that comes up, and I think it's just before they get to the Dino Saloon in Tartown, where I think Forey says dames are all alike, because he's talking about Janie being scared a bit. Because she's been sucked into another dimension surrounded by living dinosaurs.
Yeah, like, I know what you're saying. Like, get over it, right? Like, whatever. Now, you say that Tartown is thankfully not what we might think it's going to be, but I would argue it's still very disturbing.
It's still disturbing because they get there, and the first place they go to is a dinosaur saloon.
It's like a Dinosaur.
Oh, it's a real dive. No, keep working on that one.
Yeah.
There's a dino prostitute inside.
Yes, there is. This movie for children.
And someone yells at Jamie, "Hey, hairless."
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Not okay.
Not okay at all.
Also not okay is not only is there a dino prostitute, but the dino prostitute immediately a prostosaur immediately makes eyes with Mick and not only dances with him, but shoves his face into her dino boobs.
I know.
I thought he was going to fucking start motorboating her.
I guarantee you there was some poor kid this was their sexual awakening.
Oh, good lord.
He just roams the earth now looking for sexy, like, monitor lizards and iguanas.
And his name was Elon Musk.
What the lizard people thing came about. It was all just erotic fan fiction created by that kid. And then people just kept buying into it and thinking it was a real conspiracy.
Oh, there's Dinosaur City fucking erotica somewhere.
So, the reason why they're in this dino saloon is so they can meet up with Rex. And they don't meet him up. They meet up with Tops first. And he they exchange some words and he cuts some shit on foray because he's a bird that can't fly, and he's like, I'm a dinosaur that can't fly.
That's great dialogue too. Yeah.
And that's kind of what his voice sounds like too. So.
The bar also has a human singer, and the dinosaurs are all horny for her.
It's such a weird like the dinosaurs get horned up by the humans, and the humans don't seem to mind. And I'm guessing if that's the case, it goes the other way too. It's weird. Like again. It's like that interview that Oprah did with the Ninja Turtles.
Oh, God. Yes, I remember that. And there's a moment, wasn't there a moment in that interview where he's like talking about how they're having sex with April O'Neil or something?
No, he says, we keep trying to talk her into, some interspecial relationships. And they cut to these two kids in the crowd who are just fucking shocked at what's being said.
They look horrified.
Because like, the kids, they're not older kids, but they're kids who have taken like human physiology or whatever they were calling it. It's sex ed. They've taken it at that point in school, so they know what Michelangelo's talking about, and they're just here to see the turtles from the Saturday morning cartoon, the thing that they're still holding on to as a bit of their childhood is because the rest of it is slowly slipping away because it is the mid-90s and things are going to change rapidly for them. They go to Oprah, they go to the show so they can meet the Ninja Turtles, and the Ninja Turtles are talking about banging April O'Neil.
It's just so weird how
and it's weird, and it would have fit in perfectly in this movie.
But it's so weird how so many kids' movies, more so from this era, are just so sexed up. It's like, stop it. Stop.
Did you ever see the movie Little Monsters with Fred Savage and Howie Mandel?
Years ago, but I can only imagine.
There's a part where one of the monster ladies tells Fred Savage he has a nice ass.
That's what I mean. Why? Why did they do that? Any of this? It's... And people were shocked that there was, like, scandalous shit going on in Hollywood with fucking pedophiles.
Yeah. Why did we not see the clues?
Yeah. Mr. Policeman, I gave you all the clues.
Oh, you shut your hairy hole.
I mean, one day. I'm surprised we haven't done it yet.
I think we threatened to a few years ago.
We did.
Nothing that came of it.
No.
The Cro-Mags show up.
Yeah.
And a bar fight ensues. And, Rex and Tops have to... He's named Tops because he's a Triceratops.
Oh, see, I just thought he was a big fan of...
With no horns.
I just thought he was a big fan of trading cards.
I mean... I guarantee you they probably tried to get a line of those put out too. If they got a video game put out, they were probably trying to get trading cards. I think this movie was like one of the last ditch efforts to make Republic Pictures like a legitimate viable studio again.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, right.
Oh, and they do this. We didn't touch on it earlier, but there's this stupid dance that they do when Rex and Tops are fighting. They do this like signature dance move because we saw the kids doing it earlier when they were watching the show. And when I saw that earlier, I was like, "What the shit are they doing?" And then you see Rex and Tops doing it, and I'm like, "This is fucking stupid."
It was like the Wild Stallions air guitar from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, except it made less sense.
And it was super, like, stilted and weird.
Yeah, it was almost like you remember when the Usos used to come out and they would do the haka dance, like, before they would get the match on?
Yeah.
Right? It was kind of like that.
But not as natural.
Exactly.
Because you would expect it to, like, the Usos to do something like that with that kind of gimmick. But whereas this, it's like, why are the dinosaurs dancing? Shouldn't they be spending more time attacking? Also, one of these, I gotta mention that one of these Cro-Magnums, one of these K people thinks they're Joe Pesci.
Oh my! That guy, this guy here, is that the guy you're talking about?
Oh my god!
I was like, please don't make him be a big thing in this movie. Thank God that my prayers were answered on that end.
I thought he was gonna be like second in command,
like right to the end. I'm gonna get him for you, boss.
Mm-hmm.
It's like fucking Rudy Giuliani on helium.
Oh God. Well, of course, Mr. Big. If Mr. Big says the election
You
was
gotta
stolen,
put it up here, Mr. Big. I'm gonna book you a press conference outside of a landscaping store next to a pornography store.
Of course, the Four Seasons is a great place to be. What's that now? Oh, whoopsie doodles. That's a slip on my part.
Oh, Rudy, you done it again.
Oh, Rudy.
Okay, so during this bar fight, Jamie gets her glasses broken.
Yeah, because Mick is doing a Rocky pose.
Yeah,
from the movie Rocky.
And he was like, "Oh, sorry." And they managed to settle it all, and they're going to Dinosaur City, to, I guess, get the fuse back, because that's the thing we're looking for. We got to get the fuse back so we can get it back to, fucking wherever Thor's from, so they can keep the lab at bay.
I also got to say that at this moment, he steps on Jamie's glasses so that, I mean, really, it happens so he can see that she's pretty.
Jesus.
I mean,
yeah,
I'm
not arguing you. That's 100% why that happened.
That's what the movie's saying.
Mr. Big knows what they're up to, because little Joe Pesci goes back and reports back to him. But for having failed, Mr. Big has him put to death.
Oh yeah, he says, "Can I offer you a cigar?" And then flames, dead.
Yep.
Also, Mr. Big has like a little helper dude, and I was like, what's their relationship? Because he's like chained up but like following him, and I'm like, let's not explore that.
So he's like he's like a combination of Mr. Slave and that dude who would hang out with Jabba the Hutt.
Oh yeah, yes. Jabba the Hutt 100%, and also that little guy that Marlon Brando found on the set of Island of Dr. Moreau and was
Kevin.
He's going to be in the movie with me. Well, Mr. Brando, he's not in the movie, though. No, he's going to be my assistant.
The little clone of me.
Oh, what a movie.
But I mean, the trip to Dinosaur City is a long one. They have to stop off and take a rest, and they stopped at a place that Forey knows, and apparently he speaks light fairies, because light fairies are a thing that they use to light up rooms in this magical world of, Cro-Magnons and volcanoes and talking dinosaurs.
It's
with prostitutes.
It's like I just wrote down that Tinkerbell makes a cameo, because like that was what it
that was essentially it, wasn't it? Because he's like,
I did get a good laugh out of him mimicking the fairy thing, just because it was so bizarre. Like the fairy.
See, I didn't think he was mimicking. I thought he was talking to.
That's what I mean. But it was ridiculous to hear in like the really gravelly voice, like.
Okay.
They're just gonna hang out in Forey's treehouse for a while. Cool.
Yeah, just for a little bit.
Okay. At this point, can I just say there are so many moments leading up to this point where the kids keep saying, "In this episode, you did this in the cartoon." At one point, they say to Rex and Tops, because they're reluctant to help them for a while, right? Is that they say like, "You guys are heroes in this world." An episode, and I'm like, stop referring to the TV show. Clearly, they do not know what you're talking about.
This is a Last Action Hero situation.
Yeah. The first reaction should have told you that they don't think it's a TV show. So you keep saying that, they're not going to want to help you. They're going to think you're fucking nuts.
Because they don't know what a TV is either.
But they do know who Albert Einstein is, because one of the cave people makes a reference to Einstein. Which I guess, like, you could say, okay, the cartoon would probably do something like that. But
there's anachronisms like that, and you see that in cartoons a lot. Like, for fuck's sakes, there's a Flintstones Christmas special.
Yeah, Christmas.
People who live in BC have a Christmas special.
Well, that was his grandfather, Sebastian Christ.
You're not actually celebrating Jesus' birthday. It's his great grandfather, Sebastian.
Sebastian Bach Christ. He wasn't. I mean, he was cool, but like he didn't like come back from the dead or anything.
No, but I mean, just you got that name right. It's like
Yeah.
it's that whole John Quincy Adams situation.
Exactly.
All right, where are we leave? Okay, so they're at Forey's treehouse, and Mr. Big knows what they're up to. Rex is on guard. Is this where we find out that there was because during this all this stuff that's going on, we get some more backstory on Rex and how his dad is seen as a traitor. Like, he was once a great hero in Dinosaur City, and now he's a traitor. This is some of the storied lore.
Yeah, he supposedly sold out Dinosaur City to the Rockies or something.
No, Mr. Big.
To Mr. Big, yeah.
Because, Mr. Big, I don't know what the hell is up with this, because there's one side of, like, that are good dinosaurs, and then there's Mr. Big's side, they're the allosaurs, but it's dinosaur versus dinosaur, and somehow the Cro-Mags become like the main bad guys. Like, what happened to the allosaurs?
I don't know, but doesn't he tell Timmy all this on Skull Island?
Oh yeah, because I was like, oh sweet, King Kong's gonna be there.
You can't.
King Kong was not there.
You can't put the name Skull Island in another movie that's not King Kong. I'm sorry. Also, yeah, King Kong, the first thing that came to mind. Also, I was like, okay, this is creepy because it's like an adult taking a kid to a private island.
I'm just saying, Rex did not kill himself.
It was Tops.
It was Tops, because he was his facilitator.
Yeah, Tops was the Ghislaine Maxwell of the two.
Yeah, exactly. In case you weren't able to read that code that we were laying down for you guys. There's a part where I think Rex calls either Mick or Timmy Glacier Face, and I was like, did he just call him like that? He looked like he was slow. Because, I mean, Glacier's known for their slow pace of things. It made it sound like he was trying to say you look like you have an intellectual disability.
Who was he saying this about?
I think it was either Timmy or Mick.
Okay, if it was Mick, I would say, yeah, that's probably what they're implying.
Probably what he was saying.
Because there's a couple jokes like that that are like bordering on like, you're not saying the word, but you're saying what should be the word. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why they bother with this fucking backstory, though, honestly. It's just like, just give me a movie where they're fucking helping dinosaurs stop other dinosaurs. I don't care.
And again, this is kind of like I'd said before about this being like a Saturday morning kids live TV show. That's the sort of thing that you would see in that, because you have to carry the story week to week as the kids are trying to find their way home. In this, you don't need that whole backstory with, the dad and stuff like that. This movie is so base as it is. Just have them trying to get to Dinosaur City, defeat Mr. Big, get the fuse back, save their world. That's all you need. It's a kids movie. You don't need some political intrigue with Rex's dad being the Benedict Arnold of the dinosaurs.
Nor do we need this scene that comes up here, I think next or very soon, is when the cave people are on their like makeshift train, and the cave lady's like complaining about that they haven't seen any action. She hasn't seen any action recently. One of them says, "Oh, we're about to. What are you talking about? We just had a fight." And she was like, "That's not the kind of action I had in mind." And I'm like, "Stop with this. Just stop it." Also, she wants to fuck that pterodactyl. That's out there.
Yeah, and she's like isn't she like the second hand of the Cro-Mags? Because they were like, when the Cro-Mag, he's like Link. That was his name. He was the big heavy at the first who showed up to take the fuse, and she was with him. But now, Forey's seen her a couple times, and he's like, well,
I mean,
there was like, that's right, sailor.
Well, there was a scene where he was watching her walk away, and it was a close up of her ass,
and he was all like, wolf with the tongue unraveling, eyes bugging out, straight out of like a Walter Lantz cartoon.
But that's the thing. If they had made it a cartoon, they could have done that gag.
That would have been great.
Well, I don't know if it'd be great, but but I mean, if it was animated, you wouldn't get this great scene where Rex and Tops just stand in place and just punch the cave people over and over again. It's like literally, no, these guys, the people in the costumes, cannot move. This is all we can do.
It's just swing randomly in the general the direction, and fall down when the fist gets near you.
Yeah.
I've seen less light in a celebrity wrestling match.
Oh! I was gonna say the choreography would make Buster Keaton shit his pants. Oh, that's how it's done.
Yeah, I got my wrestling reference in.
There you go. We got a few. We're good.
Yeah. But I mean, the fight and stuff is so, I don't know. It's so heated that I believe this is when Jamie and Mick kiss, don't they?
Oh man, and like I said, it's a little much.
It's yeah, you're definitely shooting into a PG-13 era.
Well, and the fact that they do that thing where they cut away from the scene mid-kiss, and usually that's code for it kept going further.
They did it. I just
if it had cut back to them both like under a bunch of leaves.
Well, if you want to read more into it, the next cut is like a one shot of like the dinosaur tower where Mr. Big is. So,
oh man,
I'm putting you off this movie or not?
Yeah, because I was on board with everything up to this point.
So again, we go to Skull Island. We talked about that. Kong's gonna be there. No, he's not.
Yeah.
Mr. Big is the leader of the Allosaurs, and we get more of Rex's dad's stories, and
shitty fighting.
But the thing is, they're breaking into this, and they have to kind of go undercover to do it, and they bring Jamie along, but they bring her, and they're like, go, just wait. It's like you brought her so she could stay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's not going to help you in any real way. Like, thankfully she didn't really listen. Thompson and Rex, they do their fight dance. There's a part in that fight where Mick does like a speed bag to a guy.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, again, funny for, I guess, sort of.
I get that it's supposed to make me laugh.
I mean, it's something that seems like it would appeal to the humorous side of a person, but at this point, you're what, over an hour into this movie and questioned a lot of the life decisions that you've made that brought you to watching the first hour of Adventures in Dinosaur City.
But don't worry, question no more, because at this point, Timmy finds a remote.
Oh my Christ.
And starts fucking Adam Sandler clicking all over the place.
Oh my God, it was so frustrating. It's like that the remote is supposed to control the wormhole. It doesn't control actual, like, a person in time.
But also, even if it did, pause everything.
Right.
Why would you just use it once to rewind and then, oh, okay, let's go over here now. Just fucking pause everything.
Pause the world, walk to Dinosaur City, take the fuse, walk back to where you came from, put the fuse in, and be done.
Yeah.
Throw Mr. Big into the lava while he's frozen, if you want to.
Oh, that's dark. But instead, he uses it a couple times, and then the friggin' batteries fall out of it.
And we get the one line in the entire movie that actually got me to laugh, because I am like headlong into Dadsville at this point in my life. But because the batteries fell out and they can't get the remote to work, Link, the head of the Cro-Mags, has got the thing, and they can't get it to work, and somebody says, "There's something missing, Link."
I thought you were gonna say that the line that got you, because you did allude to this part coming up here where Jamie does this like seduction, which is very inappropriate.
Yes,
very inappropriate.
Like, hey boys,
and she lures the Rockies over and then knocks them out herself.
She kabonks them totally, like.
Yeah, and then she sees Mick and says, "Is that Forey in your coat, or are you just happy to see me?" And I'm like, number one, that joke doesn't make any sense because Forey's like under his chest. Like,
he's a bird.
But like, maybe if it was like if he was holding him like by his gut or something. But it's just like, where do you think it is?
Well, I'm gonna answer. I'm gonna answer your question because you said, "Is that Forey in your pocket?"
No,
or are you
coat.
Just happy? So in your coat.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said pocket.
No, she says coat.
Okay, because you said pocket and you said he was holding Forey up by his chest. You know what she's talking about. She's talking about the Mixter.
The Dickster.
Mixter's Dickster.
Ew. Dickster's laboratory? Yeah. No, but it was just, I just thought it was weird because like I expected to see like him holding them, like cradling him or something, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. Luckily we don't get a whole lot of time to think about it because all of this hilarity quotes and entertaining stuff, again, quotes, gets dragged down to like an absolute just ground to a halt. Like, you thought this movie could drag any more, they were like, challenge accepted. Here's Rex's dad, and he is old and talks like this.
And Nathan, it turns out that he didn't sell out.
Oh my god. Yes, because he was like drugged or hypnotized.
He straight up says he was drugged.
And that's why he handed the key to Dinosaur City over to Mr. Big, who then took over.
Not since Big Fish has there been such a strong scene of father and son.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, because apparently, after this movie, there were record numbers of men calling their dads as well.
Yeah.
To say, I'm sorry, Dad, for all the shitty movies I made you watch when I was a kid, because my kids have made me watch a doozy, and it's called Adventures in Dinosaur City.
Mm-hmm. And then, so Rex and Mr. Big have their fight, right?
They do.
And Timmy got kidnapped, by the way. We didn't mention.
Right. And there's Kung Fu dinos. There's a saber-toothed cat fight because Jamie and Link's lady that Forey is kind of warm to. They kind of duke it out, and then she's like, whatever, those guys are dickheads. I'm gonna be your friend now. And then she aligns herself with them like with no questions.
It's straight up that moment in that Billy Zane superhero movie. What the hell is that called?
Oh, The Phantom. She's like, have you ever thought about not just being nice? Huh?
Yeah, that's 100% what it is. It's like, wait, what?
That was an option to me. Turning over a new leaf.
Just wow, that is that fucking writing right there. 101.
Yeah.
That's I wrote down. When did Lady Cave turn good? Like, she just suddenly started helping them.
They don't want to they don't want to miss an opportunity, but now that she's on their side, old Foray can go hubba.
Mm-hmm.
With the cave lady. And at this point, I was just like, all right, go get him, Roller Gator. Live your best life.
Yeah.
Because the whole time that the Forey's in this movie, it's like Roller Gator because he's on somebody's shoulder or he's obscured. And I mean, you can say the same thing about watching like a Muppet movie or something like that. But at some points when you see the Muppets, they're only shot from like, the mid-waist up, but they're maybe in the foreground and moving around amongst people, so you're like, okay, there's legs under that thing. Every time you see Forey in this movie, he, again, like I said, he's either on somebody's shoulder or he's sitting on something to obscure the puppeteer. I get it, it's a puppet, but come on, use him in a bit better way. The only time you ever see him where he's not obscured by something is when they digitize him in later in the movie here.
Yeah, it's just like, it's like the complete opposite of what I imagine when people's minds were blown in the original Muppet movie, where you see Kermit sitting out on the lily pad singing Rainbow Connection. You're like, whoa, where's the puppeteer? Where are the strings? This is crazy. This is like the opposite of that.
Yeah. It's like they couldn't even bother to do like a decent green screen or something.
No, it's not easy being green.
Screened.
So he presses power on Mr. Big with the remote.
Okay, yeah, he does. And oh my god, this whole section is just such a mind-meltingly terrible, clunky thing that I'm taking notes, and even now, and I just watched this movie a day ago, and these notes are not making a whole lot of sense to me. And I was sober, stone sober, when I did, because I had to go to the hospital the next day for blood work, so I couldn't have anything to drink while I was watching it like I normally do. Maybe if I had some, gin notes in this one, maybe I'd be making some sense out of this scene. But yeah, Timmy presses power on it. They say that, like, what's it, Mr. Big does the molten mambo or something, because they kill him with the... They kill him or something with the volcano?
They kill him with the power button. He just evaporates.
Right. Okay. Oh no, they're saying they're going to do the molten mambo. I think because they had to get the thing back, or maybe that's a line from Forey, because he's hitting on the cave lady again. I'm not sure. I think it could be perfectly reasonable for him to say something like that.
He probably says, "Hey, baby, let's do the molten mambo." But Rex's dad sacrifices himself.
I'm sorry, Rex.
And just dies with the, sets the building to go down and dies, or puts the fuse in and gets it working again. But in order to do that, he has to stay there, and he basically just sacrifices himself.
Also, they have a remote control that can pause time. No, he doesn't. He doesn't have to stay there.
But
he doesn't have to die.
But you can only use the remote control when it's needed for the plot. And then Rex says, "Remember, Jamie, we'll always have Tartown." And I was like, nope, you don't get to do that. You don't get to do
that. This is where Rex is proclaimed the king. Get it?
Yeah,
Rex?
Rex, yeah.
King?
Yeah.
They're going back. For some reason, Mick's going back in his full-on Cro-Magnon gear. They say their byes to Rex and to Tops, and Timmy's like, "I want to stay. I want to stay here and keep having awesome adventures with you guys." Sure, why not? But Jamie brings up this idea that that apparently we were supposed to notice that Timmy was a very selfish kid who was always thinking of what was benefiting him. I didn't get that in a lot of this movie.
I think they mentioned that one time.
Okay.
One other time at the beginning, but I didn't remember it. Of course.
If you want it to be called back at this point where he's supposed to be, having learned and feeling bad about, thinking about the old ways the way he used to be, that's something that you need to have his character doing throughout the movie, where he's constantly looking out for just himself above everybody else, and then he learns, to sacrifice for the greater good. Like Brendan said, they mentioned it once, and then they mentioned it again here. And Timmy's like, should I stay or should I go? Because if I go, there will be trouble, but if I stay, it will be double.
Yeah. I wrote down the whole thing was like Timmy pulling a Michelangelo in that fucking Turtles 3 movie again. So, but Rex is like, you have to be a king in your own world, blah, blah, blah. They all do the dance, too, again.
And then just as they're about to leave, Forey shows up. He's like, "Don't go, Timmy!"
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, so we go through all of that. Rex with his speech about you got to be a king in your world. Jamie with a, you're still only just thinking about yourself. He's learned. And then he's showing that he's learned because he's going to go back. And then Forey shows up and is like, "You know what? Don't." I mean, that was essentially the delivery. It was like, "Don't go.
Don't go. Stay here."
And then, of course, they play it up for drama like he was going to stay.
Much like Turtles 3.
Sure, fine and well, I guess. But...
Well, this is where Turtles 3 got the idea, you hacks.
Yeah. Oh.
But yeah, there's drama. Like, they're waiting because Jamie and Mick have gone through and come back, and they're waiting for Timmy. And you're like, of course Timmy's going to freaking come back.
And he does.
Yeah. And
back to the lab, and the fucking machine is back to ready. They don't even turn the goddamn thing off!
No. But luckily, the parents are coming home at this point.
Oh yeah, the super socially responsible parents who would not be called in front of like a child protective services tribunal. Maybe that's not the word I'm looking for, because they left their obviously developmentally disabled son at home with sensitive lab equipment.
Also, from the dialogue, it sounds like they just came back from a symposium or like some sort of science exhibit.
It was like a convention or something they were going to.
Yeah, and the guy was like, "Oh, they thought our device was just a way to make orange juice. They didn't believe us." And I'm like, "Why didn't you bring it with you?"
Yeah,
you can't
dismantle that thing.
You can't just show up to a convention and be like, "My invention is a device that sucks you into a TV." Oh, okay, let's see it work. Well, it's at home, but you'll have to take my word for it.
Here's the orange that it threw at my wall.
Yeah, do you believe me now? No, of course not.
And then, of course, they're saying that they need to do more research. They need to have more proof. We gotta, test it on humans. And this is where the kids are like, "Hey, you know what? You don't be mad, but we've already tested it on humans." Cue the Dino City rap.
Well,
give me a claw.
Before that, though, when they say we already tested it on humans, dirty dir, we get a sequel tease because they go into the room and you hear the TV do its thing and you're like, "Oh no, all of them are going there." Also, we do get a dino rap, Nathan, now, if you don't mind.
Okay.
Cartoon world of rock and stone, volcano blows, fortissimo, flying, swimming, dinosaur women, grinning at the Dino Boys, heads all spinning, stalactite, night flight, reaching up the Fahrenheit, rhapsodizing, a caveman's battle plan, cutting it through it, the kick drum could do it, the beat is bumping, tail starts thumping, clapping and flapping, rah, 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 give me claw.
For 90s pop rap, that kid's got some skills.
I know you said like that ending. You sent me a message said, "Man, that ending song," and I'm like, "Ooh, I'm excited to see what this is." My mind was not prepared for that. I was, what is this?
Did you stick around for the Dino City ballad, aka Dreams Can Come True?
I sure did.
Oh my god.
Because normally, just to peek behind the curtain here, normally what's happening at this point, I usually finish a movie right to the very end, just because when it's over, I'm like looking at my notes, I'm coming up with my haiku, I'm thinking about what movie I want to recommend, and when I'm doing that, I'm just like, I just leave it playing, and I'm doing my thing, and then, I just hear the fucking love ballad come on, I'm like, what is this?
And the best part about all this, I sat through both of those, and then we're going through the credits, and then we're getting to the music credits, because I want to see, did this thing actually see a physical release on like cassettes and tapes sort of thing, but I was too distracted by the fact that because this is a Smart Egg production, all of the music was associated to them in their subsidiary Smart Egg and Beat Street Music.
Wonderful.
Beat Street, like one of the seminal hip-hop breakdance movies from the 80s, is now associated to Adventures in Dinosaur City through the publishing company.
As it should be.
Oh my god. So, yeah, and I didn't happen to see if it came out on cassettes and tapes or not, because
Yeah.
like, fuck this movie. I'm just gonna get things out of here.
Yeah.
Go on to bigger and better things. So, Brendan,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then that being said, all the trash we talk, I think it's fairly clear where we're leaning with this. But the question has to be asked: would you consider this worth a watch, or is it a drunk watch with friends? Are you going to attempt head trauma to forget it, or are you going to avoid it like the plague?
I will start off by saying that for a little bit, I was like, this might be a drunk watch. And then as it went on and on and on and on, it just kept slipping down the ranks. So I would just not watch this, guys. It's insane, but it's not but it's also like, it's just so terrible and lazy and dumb, and it just avoid it like the plague. Just don't bother.
Yeah, I feel the same. This is avoid like the plague. I mean, if you want to see a movie where a young person gets sucked into an alternate reality and has to find a MacGuffin, just watch Labyrinth.
Mm-hmm.
So much better.
Little peek behind the curtain for me. I've never seen it.
Goodness, it's really good. It's really good. I recommend it highly recommend it.
Is that the one with David Bowie's nutsack?
It is.
Oh, perfect.
It is.
I will watch it tonight.
I own it on Blu-ray.
Oh, so you can really get a good look.
That high quality picture.
Yeah. How many hairs has he got?
I mean, on the scroter up top, because he's got that Tina Turner hair going on for most of that movie too.
Oh, I meant on the scrot, of course.
Oh, okay. We're gonna take a quick break, but stick around. We're gonna pay some bills. Don't touch that dial, because things have dials. We will be right back.
You don't want to touch that dial because you don't want to get sucked into this podcast.
What were they thinking?
As much as it pains me to do it like this, because NPR bot is no longer, and Steven Seagal ran off to Russia. I'll have to say we are back.
And for those who want a more detailed explanation on what that means, check us out on Patreon.
The demise of NPR bot.
Very sad day.
On Patreon. Unfortunate stuff. But we will soldier on as good NPR soldiers, and present this week's low haiku. Now, Brendan, if this is indeed someone's first episode of tuning in, or maybe people just like to have refreshers in their brains as to how these rules work, please let us know what the low haiku is all about.
Well, the low haiku, 17 syllables, 5, then 7, then 5, to describe the movie we just finished discussing.
Okay, and I would invite you to delight us with your low haiku first.
Sure. What did I just watch? Horny dinosaur hookers. Eat shit, Jim Henson.
Very good.
Thank you. You have a haiku too?
Yes, I do. Okay. Mine is as such. Our dinos look cheap. Party cities are better, but cost a lot more. Thank you.
Very true.
Yes, very much so. And this is going to pain us, so be bear with us.
Oh, my soul left my body.
Oh, I think I'm going to be sick. All right. Well, we're gonna have to get Milos to get to work on NPR Bot 2.0.
Yeah, something.
Yeah, something. But I mean, there we go. We've we've had our say about this, and I think we're very plain into how we felt in regards to this movie. But we don't want you guys to think that, we think we're so great and we're the be all and end all of movie criticism. So,
but we are, but that's beside the point.
Well, but I mean, still, we like to leave people open with options. And in doing so, we like to say a little thing to let them know that they don't indeed, have to think that we are the be all and end all. So we like to say this little thing to them, and that thing is, what is it, Brendan?
Well, that little thing we like to say is,
Don't take a word for us.
That's right. Don't take our word for it, and also, don't take the critic's word for it, because, well, there are, critic words for it on the tomatoes. Okay. No reviews, none whatsoever. Okay. But I mean, I shudder to think of what a direct-to-video movie that actually did get released in theaters in France. What kind of audience rating that sort of thing got on the old tomatoes, Brendan?
Well, out of 100+ ratings, 40%. So I guess 40+ people were like, yeah, I want to go back to Dinosaur City.
And they all worked on Adventures in Dinosaur City.
Yeah, they were all the crew.
I was in this movie, 5 stars.
Now, Nathan, I will say that if you are a sadist and you happen to get some enjoyment out of this movie, you might also like the following. The Invisible Kid, Sailor of the King, AROG. It's an acronym, so okay, cool. A Movie of Eggs, which doesn't have a poster, and last but not least, A Very Unlucky Leprechaun, which does have a poster and I think is going to give me nightmares tonight.
I'll say this: it's weird that A Movie of Eggs is the freshest rated of the bunch.
No critics rating, but a 60% audience. It is apparently an animated comedy from Spain.
Okay.
The animation looks not great.
I do know of The Invisible Kid. I remember seeing the video box back in the day at the local corner store that would rent videos, but I've never seen it. But we're not talking about The Invisible Kid. We're talking about Adventures in Dinosaur City. So let's just jump right into these audience reviews.
Yeah, and I mean I'm gonna have my letterbox open as well too, because there's not a whole lot going on Rotten Tomatoes, but I will say this first one speaks to my heart. It's from Star, and Star gives it half a star and says, "More like Adventures in Dinosaur Shitty. Heyo." They include the heyo, so it's good.
Okay. Well, I mean, there's reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, but not a lot of people left names. So all these are from Neil Breen.
Yes, of course.
And
we've learned
our
that.
first review from Neil Breen wrote, "This movie is pretty volcanic. Give me some claw." 1 out of stars.
I think "Give Me Some Claw" is actually on the cover, which is hilarious. Okay. This one is from Findley, who gives it 2 out of stars.
Fit Finley?
Might be. It's spelled differently, but we know who he is. Findley says, "Pretty piss and goofy, but I love tonally odd films like this honkin' pile of shit."
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my next one, again, it's from Neil Breen, and he writes, "It is so very late while I am writing this. I will do my best to express my feelings about this wonderful film." Wanderful film. Film. It is a one-of-a-kind masterpiece. I loved it as a kid, and I surely love it now. While there's not really much I can say, but it is a wonderful movie. 5 out of stars.
Wow. All right. Thank you once again, Neil.
You're welcome.
Wait, is it NPR back again? This review comes to us from Meg Robocops. She doesn't leave a rating, but you'll find out why in a second. It's a little bit of a longer one, but it's good. I couldn't actually finish watching this, which I'm sure no one can blame me, but even only about 30 minutes in, I have a couple of heavy concerns and opinions that I just want to lay out there. Firstly, this movie looks like it was filmed on a potato. There are plenty of horror movies in the more transgressive side of the genre that wishes they looked as dark, grimy, and unpleasant as this movie looks. I've been watching plenty of low budget children's media recently, but none that looked like it could turn into an entry of the August Underground series at a moment's notice. Secondly, the kids in this movie watched some cartoon about dinosaurs and cavemen. Point is, the animation doesn't look bad, and I have no earthly idea who's responsible. There's no information about this at all which I could find. It looked not unlike What a Cartoon era Cartoon Network. It just haunts me. I want to know who did it because it's by far the most interesting part of the movie. And then finally ends with, at least this movie gave us that rad-looking box cover art of the kid high-fiving the T-Rex. I can give it that.
I'll say this too, the cartoon did seem intriguing at the very least.
Intriguing, but like totally not believable as a cartoon that people would like. That's the thing.
Right.
That's what got me. I was like, this looks horrible, but they're like, oh my god, it's the best thing ever. And I'm like, what are you watching?
Beavis and who? Ren and what?
Yeah.
No,
Ren
Dinosaur City.
More like Ren and Shitty.
All right, well, my next one is from Neil Breen, and he writes, this movie was okay. I saw it when it first came out. I think the show is good for kids, but that's about it. Kids love dinosaurs, so I'm sure that they would enjoy this show. I don't even remember it too good. I guess that means they didn't really leave a lasting impression on me. I guess that means that I didn't like it enough to remember it. Oh well. 1.5 out of stars.
That actually did sound like you could have written that a lot. Okay, my last one here is from last one on Letterboxd from Matt S. I can only assume that's Matt. I got nothing. Matt S says, simply put, this sums it all up. This film makes Super Mario Brothers look like Schindler's List. 0.5 out of stars.
Doctor Who is Matt Smith.
There you go. He's like, Morbius is better than this, right, guys? Guys?
Okay. Let's see. That's all right.
Somebody said lots of cool puppetry. Eat shit. No cool puppetry in this movie. Come on.
Okay, so my last one comes from Neil Breen, and he writes, Adventures in Dinosaur City is a very badly put together film. The sets and special effects are only okay, and once you consider the standards at the time, they simply don't make the cut. The animatronics, puppet work, and acting are all very bad, and the movie desperately wants to lure in the children with the promise of a Ninja Turtles-like adventure, which, good or bad, that film was extremely popular nevertheless, but it disappoints on all accounts. Any children old enough to recognize bad movies from good ones will dismiss this as trash. On VHS, February 24th, 2012. Published February 27th, 2012. 0.5 out of star.
Wonderful. I just want to mention too that on the cover of the movie, it literally says, long before there were turtles, the world was ruled by dinosaurs. They clearly...
Oh, they knew what they were doing.
Oh, yeah.
No, for sure.
Do you...
Hero was trying to cash in on the reptile craze of the 90s.
We don't do this often, but I found a couple of interesting things about this movie. Do you want to hear about it?
Sure, man.
So apparently this was meant to be like Touchstone Entertainment's like theatrical follow-up to Spaced Invaders. So not like a sequel, but they were going to do it as like their next movie.
Yeah.
But they sold it to the Disney Channel almost immediately. So that would explain maybe the Disney Channel acting.
But it was Republic Pictures that put it out.
It was apparently meant to be with Touchstone Entertainment.
Oh wow.
The dinosaur
Also
effects.
Space Invaders.
Yeah.
Yeah. Coming soon.
Is that the one with Jim Carrey?
No, that's Earth Girls Are Easy. Space Invaders are like these 4 little obnoxious green alien dudes that land, and this little girl has to help them get their ship repaired so they can get back to outer space, and they're being hunted by a giant alien bounty hunter.
And I'm guessing the movie's super horny.
I don't remember it that way, but it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I taped it off of First Choice Movie Networks, if that gives you an idea how old it is.
Okay.
And how old I am.
The dinosaur effects were crafted by a guy named John Criswell, who did the effects on Jim Henson's Dinosaurs and Theodore Rex.
What a weird resume.
And then the last thing I wanted to mention is the stunt coordinator. His name is Spiro Razatos, who now does the stunt coordination for every Fast and Furious movie.
Well, you know what? At least there's a redemption arc in this somewheres.
And he's also apparently in Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2 as the guy who dodges the car at the last second.
Oh my god, this guy has led a life.
And he's
Good
in
for
Maniac,
him.
And he's in Maniac Cop.
All right, you know what? I want this guy's biopic.
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I think that's all I got.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go, folks. That's it. That's what the audience is saying, because there were no critics that watched this. We've waxed poetical, and we talked about the movie. So yeah, we're moving on past it. We're heading into the dance craze sensation that's sweeping the nation. It's time for the What You Watching, Bud?
What you watching, bud? I don't know what you're watching, bud. I'll tell you so. Do.
So, Brendan. What you watching, bud?
What am I watching? Well, some time ago, I don't know what episode this was. Maybe this was on Patreon. I talked about how I had recently watched a Mads Mikkelsen movie called The Hunt. I'm here to recommend another one because I'm just mad about Mads. So I'm going to recommend a movie called Another Round that came out 2 or 3 years ago, maybe. But it's about so Mads Mikkelsen plays a school teacher again. But him and a bunch of his buddies, they're kind of having like a midlife crisis, and they all come up with this thing where they come up with this theory that maybe keeping your blood alcohol level at 0.5 or 0.05 throughout the day will actually help them to socialize better, to concentrate more, to get through the day, just a little bit more ease. And so they base it on this philosopher that thought this. It is a real guy. And of course, as they're doing this, obviously this is not going to go well. Spoiler alert. But it's also not just this movie that's like, oh, drinking bad. Like, it's not like preachy or anything. They all deal with it in different ways. There's parts that are really tough and sad, but there's also a lot of funny moments. And it's just a good mix of everything. So, yeah, Danish people got it down. So check out Another Round. And I didn't mean that to rhyme, but I'm glad that it did.
Okay. All right.
What about you? What you watching, bud?
Well, I feel that it's only right that I give some nod to the place that I found out about this movie, YouTube channel called Now in the 90s, hosted by Pro Jared, and it's where he takes a look at video games that were released at any given week 30 years ago. So there was an episode where he covered The Adventures of Dinosaur City and talked about how this movie did terribly, and the game was better than the movie, but it wasn't a real high bar to clear. But he's got a lot of cool information about like other video games. So if you like retro games, more specifically, later years of the NES and the beginnings of the 16-bit war with the Genesis and the Super Nintendo, as well as some, TurboGrafx 16, Atari Lynx and stuff all kind of thrown in there. Check them out on the YouTube channel now in the 90s.
Well, this is where we usually, wrap up here. We talk about our stuff. So I know Montrose Monkington usually stops by and says a few words.
Yeah, and today is no different. You will go get him. One moment. Hello! It's good friend Montrose Monkington III here, and I would like to invite all of you to my YouTube channel, Montrose Monkington TV. Recently, I have watched The Superb Owl, because I don't want to get sued, so that's how I'm saying it. But the Kansas City Chefs took on the Pennsylvania Seagulls at the Superb Owl. If you get what I'm saying. You can tune in and see my videos on that, and I do make a few ribald comments and some things that are maybe a little more not so safe at work, but we had a good time watching it. If you would like to be friends with me over these these videos, you can do that at the Facebook group Montrose Monkington III Esquire and Friends. And if you want to, admonish me for some of the more the off-color things that I said in those videos, you can tweet at me on your Twitter devices on Twitter, funnily enough, at the handle at Montrose III. That's the number 3 RD. Thank you. More later. Yeah.
Montrose, can I just ask you one quick question?
Okay, I guess. Go ahead.
Are you worried that if you say the other pronunciation of the Superb Owl, that's enough to get you sued?
I don't want to chance it. I didn't chance it in any of the videos that we did. I called it the Superb Owl the entire time. I called them the Kansas City Chefs as well as the Pennsylvania Seagulls.
Okay.
Just covering bases. There are older videos of me saying it the other way, but thankfully the NFL has not tracked me down and broken my chimp knees yet.
Oh, that's good. Thank you. More later. Yeah. And if you want to find our stuff too, we're all over the place. Our home base, of course, for our podcast is Age of Radio.
Big time!
And you can go to ageofradio.org/whatweretheythinking. You can also find us on Facebook. Just search for us there. You can find us on Twitter and Instagram at WWTT Podcast. Find us on Redbubble and TeePublic, and head over to patreon.com/WWTT Podcast for some extra stuff. There's a bunch of bonus episodes on there now. There was one that just came out this month or February, whenever this is airing. I think this might be March now. Who knows? But there was a bonus episode in February. Calendars are the worst.
Brendan versus calendars.
Oh, that's the next
every month.
Yeah, eat shit, Freddy versus Jason. Coming soon. But yeah,
I will defend that with my dying breath.
So find us, check us out. I guess that's really all I got to say about that. But I guess maybe there's some lingering questions I have.
Well, I mean, given that I probably have the most tangible memories of the 90s, I feel that I'm in the best position to answer any questions that you might have about the society that surrounded Dinosaur City.
Well, I mean, in a movie, and I'm just going to jump right into this, that heavily features horny dinosaurs who are really into human people.
Right.
In a movie in which the puppets are about 7% better than the puppet in Roller Gator.
Okay, all right.
I'll give it 7.
Seems like
I'll give it
a
7.
high percentage, but
In a movie in which they go into an animated TV show and it's not even animated.
Right.
And in a movie where I guess the biggest name they could land is a pre-Hocus Pocus Max.
Okay.
I guess I just got one question.
What might that be?
What were they thinking?
I know a place that's near tomorrow.